Hello everyone and welcome back to the Shipyards. I'm Commander Exorcist, and welcome to another episode of the After Action Report, my weekly show where I go over the news and happenings in the Space Engineers universe. Before we get started, if you enjoy the content that I create on this channel, then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure that notifications are turned on so that you don't miss any of my Space Engineers content. Let's see what's going on out there. Friday's developer livestream focused heavily on showcasing community works in Space Engineers. During the live stream, discussions began over the acceptability of releasing Space Engineers 2 in its current alpha state. It's a sentiment that's not uncommon in the gaming industry these days, with a frustrating assortment of alpha titles being uploaded to Steam and being abandoned long before their final release. Recent changes to Steam's alpha policy has led to positive changes on this front, but Keen's model for SE2 development is definitely the exception rather than the rule. Solid focus on the development roadmap, forward momentum, and exceptional communication with community stakeholders places the SE2 Alpha in a unique position among its peers in the alpha release landscape. Zockley and Aaron discussed the comments by reaffirming much of what we already know, that Keen Software House is being as transparent as possible when it comes to the development and release of Space Engineers 2. Keen CEO Merrick Rosa is on record multiple times reminding prospective buyers that SE2 is not a complete game and that it might not be a suitable purchase for some players in its current form. The CMs reiterated that genuine community feedback is being incorporated into SE2, and the community's involvement with development was one of the main selling points for releasing SE2 in its current state. This sentiment was echoed Monday in the live stream for the release of VS1.5 by Merrick and others. Keen's commitment to the success of Space Engineers 2 is showcased through the company's transparency about its current and future development states. On a side note, a question about the number of entries received for the Fieldwork Bunker competition revealed an interesting answer: 15 completed entries. The team then concluded the stream with a shocking presentation, the cinematic trailer for yours truly's Fieldwork entry. It was both a humbling and horrifying experience. Thank you guys for the shout out. After a brief 24-hour delay, the long-awaited VS1.5 has arrived for Space Engineers 2. With it, engineers now have access to the SE2 modding software development kit, including VRage 3 tools for Blender and a handy set of starter guides, courtesy of Keen themselves. You'll find a link to these guides in the description below. Despite the release delay, Keen still held its previously scheduled VS1.5 release livestream on Monday afternoon. Throughout the presentation, we were treated to an exciting showcase of mods created during the internal testing. And during the showcase, the CM and dev team took time to share details about the modding toolkit, and as well as their vision for modding in SE2 moving forward. According to the developers, modders can change any of the existing blocks in the SE2 catalog. This is done by using the new SDK to create a duplicate of the existing block and modify it without affecting the original block. When the modified block is active, it overrides and leaves the original block intact. As Keen has said previously, small changes like this to the way things are done in SE2 are designed to help new players enter the ecosystem more easily than in SE1. In addition to the changes in how the new mods are created from scratch or existing blocks are edited, the new toolkit includes asset validation. Whenever a mod is compiled and prepared for activation in-game, the toolkit re-evaluates to see if there are any missing components that will prevent it from loading. The modder is provided error feedback to fix the problems before the mod is loaded. This should hopefully cut down on the number of mods affecting game loading and performance. Currently, modding is only available for block construction and datasets. No scripted mods are supported in SE2, but will be coming in a future update. While modding is relatively basic in VS 1.5, Merrick promised that extensive modding opportunities are coming in subsequent vertical slices. Specifically, he mentioned that VS2 will include many moddable features by default, such as voxels and potentially entire moddable worlds. However, he did say that the team continues to internally discuss such large-scale modding to see if those features will be available upon release or provided to the community at a later time. Finally, the dev team addressed questions about porting blocks from Space Engineers into SE2, and fortunately, we were provided with some very clear expectations. Modders are allowed to move any vanilla Space Engineer blocks into SE2. No SE1 DLC blocks are permitted to be moved into SE2. However, the devs did say that engineers could create new blocks based on DLC designs, but they cannot transfer the Keen-built DLC blocks into SE2. No SE2 blocks are allowed to be ported into Space Engineers. The team is adamant that SE1 and SE2 are different games, and crossover between the two should be minimal. In his weekly dev diary, Merrick discussed some finer points in the upcoming meta game loop for Space Engineers 2 Survival Mode. In the new loop, engineers will be faced with the challenge of colonizing the Almagest system sector by sector. A colonization map will help track progress through a combination of GPS locations and individual sector breakdowns. In addition to the graphics upgrades and the unified grid system, the new game loop is one of the biggest predicted differences between SE1 and SE2. Keen's vision of survival in SE2 is to provide engineers with as much of a meaningful interaction with the world and its environment as possible. Colonization efforts will be achieved by completing a series of missions in each sector of Almagest. Merrick mentioned that the end goal is visual, tangible, and easy to understand and communicate. Additionally, it is achievable in a reasonable amount of time, and the game does not end there. At the conclusion of the colonization loop, engineers will be able to continue playing in sandbox mode, building, and exploring the expansive system. Now, of course, in typical Space Engineers fashion, this game loop is entirely optional. The colonization process is only one of the many ways to play SE2. If engineers want to enter into the world as a standard sandbox and build freely, then that option will still be available upon release. And just before I went to press with this video, Keen published a survey about the future of Space Engineers 2. The simple one-question survey gives players a chance to share with the dev team whether they are already playing SE2 or to identify what feature they're waiting on before jumping into the game. This is in line with Merrick's comments on the VS1.5 livestream and Friday's livestream, where the community team revealed that 2/3 of Space Engineers players are playing in survival mode. It seems that Keen and the community at large is waiting on the arrival of VS2 and SE2 survival mode later this year before jumping into the game. You'll find a link to the survey in the description below. So what weird things are you planning to mod into SE2? Are you waiting on VS2 survival mode before jumping in? And how's that fieldwork bunker coming along? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll be back next week with more Space Engineers. Until then, I'm Commander Exorcist. Take care, fly safe, and I will see you out there.